Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. Today, we're discussing a watch that was originally sold back in 2003. That applies to this individual unit, and a model that was available at least as far back as 2002. So it's a veteran perpetual calendar from Glashütte Original. This is the Karree Perpetual calendar. In stainless steel, this is a non-round watch that features moon phase, perpetual calendar, automatic winding, all from East Germany's oldest watchmaking brand. So the watch does feature a rectangular case, and these are always difficult to describe in terms of dimensions because they wind up sounding smaller than they are. From side to side, not inclusive of the crown, it's 34.7 millimeters. It is 12.7 millimeters thick, and then from lug tip to lug tip, 44.6 millimeters with a broad 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. And this is why I say it's a bit deceptive, because you do have this relatively short lug-to-lug measurement, and the width of 34.7 would almost make it a lady's watch if it were a round watch. But on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference, you can see it's actually a good fit. It has a sizable presence. I would recommend it for a wrist down to 15 centimeters circumference, but really no smaller, because it is fairly broad, fairly massive, and it has an imposing presence. And you can also see that it has a stepped case flank, and it's fairly thin, so it will slide underneath the dress cuff. This is a very formal style. Taking a look at the strap, we have large rectangular scale alligator leather, matte finish. We have a broad folded edge, a monotone stitch, some bolstering or stuffing to give it volume. And then we have a deployant clasp, Geo branded, Glashütte Original, branding this. And you can see that it's a twin trigger release, and then it has a little clasping system built in, so this is smart. There is a little sandwiching mechanism that closes and pinches the strap inside the buckle. So once you've got it sized, you lock it in place. This way the strap can never pull through the buckle. Of course, a deployant clasp is designed to guard against accidentally dropping your watch, but if the strap pulls through the buckle, it can still fall. So having this clasp system is very smart. You have a clasp inside the clasp. Combination of media blast and polish externally. Rolling around the case, we have satin finish and polish. The only mark on this case is right here on the lug profile, pre-owned watches, of course. You can see satin contrasts with polish to break up the apparent mass of the case flank. We have inline pusher correctors for correcting the calendar. The watch features a dial with a vertical silver satination at center, 2 flush panorama datum or double date discs, polished and applied dart-style hour indices, and broad-faceted Dauphine-style hands that come to exquisite tips. Sometimes Dauphine hands look fat and heavy. These have a wonderful arcing, almost javelin-like profile to them. The bezel sits atop a sort of catamaran flanking profile, as we have a pontoon on each side, and then the bezel is a very narrow band of polished steel. You can also see that the crystal is shaped, not just the irregular form of the dial, but curved across the case. It's very difficult to make that kind of crystal fit well and achieve water resistance, but this does have standard dress watch water resistance of 30 meters, so Glashütte Original found a way to do it. We also have a perpetual calendar. We have the day, the date, the month, the leap year, and the moon phase. The perpetual calendar doesn't need to be touched until the year 2100. It can deal with irregular length months, it can deal with leap years, and then the moon phase doesn't need to be touched until 122 years after it is set. You'll also note that the date disc features 2 flush discs. That's a big upgrade over the standard double date, which usually includes superimposed discs. This is a more refined and upscale way of doing it. On the reverse side, we have manufacturer caliber 39-51, automatic winding, 4 Hertz beat rate, 48 joules, that includes the module for the perpetual calendar, 40 to 42 hour power reserve, and although this watch does not include a seconds hand, it does feature the GUB39's underlying stop seconds function, so stop seconds is retained despite the lack of seconds. We have stripes on the rotor, we have stripes on the bridges, we have snailing on the edge of the bridges, we have polished screws, we have media blast on the base plate. You can see that the stud holder, the regulator, and the swan's neck adjustment mechanism, all black polished steel, and then this lovely hand-finished solarization pattern on the reduction wheel for the winding system, and that is done manually by hand. If you love this watch, great way to get into high-end German watchmaking as well as high complications with the Perpetual calendar. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.